Logan had always believed he understood marriage. 8 years together, 2 children, countless memories he assumed were rooted in love and mutual respect. But that afternoon, everything shifted with a single, almost casual sentence. He had just returned from work, drained after a long day of meetings and site visits, and stepped into the living room where his wife, Vanessa, was sitting on the couch, scrolling on her phone. She glanced up, a faint smirk tugging at her lips, and spoke words that would make time seem to stop. "Honestly, Logan, I'd choose that guy over you." At first, he thought he had misheard. Perhaps exhaustion had distorted his perception. But there was no hesitation, no flicker of remorse in her voice. It was clear she meant every word. Logan felt the room tilt, his heart pounding, not from fear but from a deep, raw shock. This was betrayal stripped of any disguise, open and unapologetic. He didn't shout. He didn't storm out. He didn't demand answers. He simply nodded, slow and deliberate, as if acknowledging a truth he had long suspected but never fully faced. Then he moved past her, his mind already mapping the next steps. Logan refused to respond the way she likely anticipated. He had spent years patient and kind, trying to maintain the family, always putting her first. But this was different, a line that couldn't be crossed. This was not merely disrespect. It was a revelation that the woman he loved had already shifted her heart to someone else, someone he didn't even know. As he wandered through the house, memories surfaced. The early laughter, shared dreams, long nights planning their future. Vanessa had once been vibrant, magnetic, the kind of presence that made him feel alive. Somewhere along the way, that vitality had faded. Conversations had grown brief, affection scarce, smiles more performed than sincere. Logan realized this rupture hadn't happened overnight. It had been a gradual erosion. Now the truth stood unavoidable. Amid the sting of betrayal, a strange clarity emerged. This moment wasn't just about her words. It was about taking control, seeing reality for what it was, and deciding that from now on he would act on his own terms, not hers, not anyone else's. Over the following days, Logan observed quietly, careful to conceal the intensity of his attention. He noticed subtle signs, the lingering glances at her phone, the faint smiles at certain messages, the extra care she took with her appearance before leaving. Initially, he tried to rationalize, convincing himself he was imagining patterns, but deep down he knew better. One evening, he mentally traced her routines, piecing together a sequence of interactions. Vanessa's friends had grown increasingly central in her life, and there was one in particular, Mark, a co-worker he had met only a few times, who seemed to occupy her thoughts and gestures. He observed the warmth in her eyes, the light in her smile, directed at someone other than him. The sting of betrayal burned sharply, yet Logan maintained his composure. No shouting, no confrontation, no dramatic outburst. He knew she expected a reaction, a plea, a show of desperation. Instead, he resolved to move deliberately, to craft his response with care and precision. Slowly, methodically, he began to plan his course of action, aware that every move would be measured, and every step would be his own. Logan had begun quietly monitoring every aspect of Vanessa's life, her personal accounts, her finances, and all the private details she thought were hidden. He catalogued her actions carefully, not out of a desire for immediate revenge, but to fully understand the situation. It wasn't about confrontation, it was about gaining clarity and control. Outwardly, he maintained the role of the perfect husband everyone believed him to be, the supportive, calm, attentive partner. He participated in family events, helped with daily chores, and even praised her on small, seemingly unnoticed things. But every smile, every nod, was deliberate, calculated. Logan had become an observer in his own life, watching not only Vanessa but himself, measuring how he could remain composed and dignified while everything inside him wanted to erupt. Then came the night that shifted everything. Vanessa received a text from Mark while Logan sat nearby pretending to read. She giggled softly, leaned toward her phone, and whispered something that made her cheeks glow. Logan didn't react. He didn't interrupt. He simply watched, and as the moments passed, he realized the betrayal wasn't accidental. It was intentional. She had already chosen someone else in her heart, and the casual confidence of her words made that unmistakably clear. Logan felt a surge of clarity rather than panic. He knew exactly how he would respond, but on his terms, with full control. Vanessa may have thought she held the power, but Logan was preparing to take back the narrative in a way she could never foresee. Over the next week, his patience and vigilance paid off. He uncovered undeniable evidence of Vanessa's emotional attachment to Mark, small at first. Deleted messages, whispered calls, fleeting moments she thought were private. Piece by piece, the truth became irrefutable. Logan didn't rush to confront her. He had learned that anger and impulsiveness only gave the other person leverage. Instead, he kept up his careful routine, managing the household, attending family obligations, maintaining appearances, all while documenting every detail. The hurt and disbelief he had once felt shifted into determination. He was no longer just a husband facing infidelity. He was a man reclaiming control over his life. One evening, Vanessa invited Mark over under the pretense of a casual meeting. Logan, hidden and unnoticed, observed every interaction, every subtle gesture. The softness of her voice, the slight lean toward him, the small signs of intimacy. He made no move to intervene. Instead, he let the evidence speak for itself. What surprised him wasn't merely the betrayal, but its methodical, deliberate nature. Vanessa had no idea that each hidden smile and whispered word had been recorded. It gave Logan a sense of power he hadn't felt in years. Years spent feeling blindsided, helpless and ignored. Now the full picture was clear. By the end of that night, Logan had made his decision. This wasn't about traditional revenge. There would be no shouting, no public embarrassment, no dramatic spectacle. His goal was to reclaim his dignity and assert control over his life. He would confront Vanessa only when he had everything laid bare, when the truth could no longer be denied. Calmly, strategically, with precision. For the first time in months, Logan slept with a sense of purpose. The anxiety, uncertainty, and sleepless nights began to fade. He was neither broken nor powerless. He was ready. And when the time came, when Vanessa realized he had seen everything and taken command of his life, the shock would be entirely hers.